So team, Vitaly, please introduce yourself in a broader way. I did a little bit of introduction. Tell us about your past entrepreneurial experience, and then we just take the floor and have a full lead. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, well, my name is Tim. This is my partner, Vitaly. We will tell today about our 2 years journey on company that called Donut Lab and about our game Kids versus Zombies. This will be the real business use case based on how we decided to start this, how we get into the gaming industry, and what we did actually step by step. So as Daniel mentioned, this is not the main goal of this event for us. The main goal of this storytelling for us is to explain what we did step by step, to show you that actually a lot of things possible, even if you're doing the first or your first game, even if you're not a big publisher, and even if everyone tell you that it's not impossible. Yeah, Vitaly, would you like to add something, or we can share the screen and start?
Yeah, let's start. Let's share the screen.
Cool.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and yeah, cool, Daniel. We will be happy to answer the questions in the end, and we will try to maybe add some extra information that some of you knows, but yeah, don't worry about this because a lot of people don't know it yet, and we just want to make sure that we share everything. Okay. So Vitaly, how do you see the screen?
Yeah, I see it. Great. So I will start. Hello, everyone. I'm Vitaly. And together with him and our third founder, Gordiy, we are working on Donut Lab. Donut Lab is a game studio, and in this game studio, we are working on our very first title, Kids vs. Zombies, which is top-down shooter about kids in post-apocalyptic world, donuts, zombies, and a lot of fun and unique mechanics. The game is not launched yet, but we have already closed about 4 rounds of investment. So today we are going to share our story and some tips on this. Me and Tim, we are serial entrepreneurs with about more than 10 years of experience. Also, we had a big background in design. We met each other when we studied at British High School of Art and Design, and that's our strong part. So we have a great background in business. We know each other for 10 years, actually. And at the same time, a few years ago, we met Gordiy during surfing and yoga on Bali. We met Gordiy, who is a brilliant illustrator, artist, and he has his own illustrator agency. And he already tried himself in indie game development. So he launched Green Riding Hood. It's a small indie project. And a few years ago, Gordiy came up with the idea to make a super duper game about kids and zombies. But he has only an idea, and we understood that Gordiy is brilliant in creative, in art, and so on, but not in business and not in fundraising. So at this point, we decided to combine our skills and move forward together.
Yeah, one thing I would love to add, we were focusing with Vitaly, we were working on a company called Hello Baby, and we previously launched successfully 6 apps for parents and future parents, but we never did games. And Gordiy, actually, his first project, Green Riding Hood, was like interactive book for kids, but it also wasn't like the real gaming project. So that is why we figure out that we need to start everything from scratch. We didn't have any studio developers who were focusing on gaming, etc.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, we were attending at Celebrity Connected. It's a conference in Los Angeles where startups meet celebrities and trying to collaborate. And we decided to test Gordy's idea on real celebrities who are potentially can invest or participate in this project. So we made a presentation about the game like we already have the game, but actually we didn't have anything, but we pretended that we have real game. And we just suggested these celebrities to participate. And we got a very good feedback about this. And finally, we found Danny Trejo, aka Machete, who is interesting person, and he was a gangster for 12 years before actor career, and he actually has his own donut shop in Hollywood, and he loves kids. So that's why we decided to make the scenario around him, and we signed a letter of intent. So we didn't move with him forward already, but we have this option for future.
Yeah, it was important for us because we wanted to test basically two things. The first one, we wanted to see if we can reach out to the real American celebrity who can become our co-founder, not just a marketing person, not just a face for the game, for the company. And second, is it possible actually to sign them without paying anything because we didn't have money at this time. Yeah, and then in that case, letter of intent can help you a lot.
Mm-hmm. So what we had at this moment when we started our first fundraising, actually we had nothing. We had only our background, our passion and celebrity on board, and a good idea about this game. But anyway, we started fundraising, and we started touring at all game conferences like White Nights, like JDC in San Francisco, like DevGam. And we had no prototype. We had only Tim, where is a movie? It should be movie here.
Movie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It doesn't work?
No?
Yeah. We had only this teaser, animated teaser, even without gameplay. So it only shows our idea and nothing else, only the setting of the game. So even with this, we started participating in conferences like we already developing a game. And that was enough for very first round. So we were very persistent in our fundraising.
Yeah, but usually everyone will tell you that especially in the gaming industry, a lot of people tell us that there are just two ways how you can launch a game today. The first way is if you already the big studio and you already launched successful titles previously, and in that case, you basically doing the game with your own money and test the game with your own money. Or second way is to go to publisher. But if you go to publisher, you will basically give them like 50% of your profit. And this is, since the beginning, we decided that this is not our way to do business. And so in that case, we were just trying to reach out to the right people and trying to sell them our like global vision and explain them why we don't want to go to publishers.
Mm-hmm. And finally, we raised a pre-seed round for 150K, and we raised this money from angels, business angels from our current existing network. This is how it happened. And that was enough for very first initial production, for first prototype and so on. And we have registered a Delaware corporation for this and put all new investors in equity when we registered it to save money on lawyers. And Delaware corporation is a gold standard for companies like this, for games, for IT companies and so on.
Yeah, and there is an important tip. If you just started your company and you don't know what can be the right valuation, and you already incorporate your company and don't want to waste time for negotiations, at this stage, you actually can do, like the best way what you can do is save for convertible notes, because in that case, you don't need to negotiate about the right valuation at this stage. But if you're starting your business like from scratch and someone like the business angel or someone like who provided this first capital to you did this before you incorporate the company, in that case, you can save some money and they can join the company capital from the beginning.
Our next milestone is a seed round. And actually, we started this fundraising right on the next day when we closed previous pre-seed round, because it's a good point to have money enough for next 6 months of production. And previous round was exactly for first 6 months. So on the next day, we started next fundraising. And what we had on this stage, we had cool art and very simple prototype. So we started to attending at conferences again. Next slide, Tim. Yeah, we started attending with this animated teaser, but this teaser already shown our real gameplay, not only setting and characters. And also we had a very, very simple prototype with a lot of Brex, with only one location, with a few zombies, with 2 weapons. So it was very poor version, but that was enough for seed round because it confirms that we can produce the game, not only show some animated pictures. Next slide. Yeah, and that's how we got attention of top funds from the industry and raised additional 350K from Wargaming, Braavo, and Starta Ventures. Actually, we started to build relationships with most of these guys. A few months ago, at least. With some of them we have met a few years ago. So nobody invests in the last minute, and that's a very important point to start build relationships as soon as you can, even if you are not fundraising today. So we started negotiate with Wargaming, I think about 6 months before they invested. Team met with them in San Francisco over barbecue. Me with Gordiy, we met with them in St. Petersburg, where is our production office located. We already knew founder of Braavo Capital and Starta Ventures for a few years before this. And that's very important to have these relationships and big network actually. And we raised this round through SAFE. SAFE is a simple agreement for future equity. It's a Y Combinator standard template for fundraising. And our next point actually was not bridge, but a bigger round like Series A or something big, like more than $1 million. But it was impossible because we had only a simple prototype and only the first traction. And so evaluation would be too small and we would be diluted too much. So we decided to raise a bridge from our current investors. So we continued development. We continued to attend on conferences. Team, next slide. And we have shown a real game.
I just wanted to add that we needed this bridge, and it's okay to have a bridge round with your current investors if you want to achieve the next important milestone for the company. So your next valuation will be higher, and that's a good point for your current investors to support you at this stage.
And we made a simple prototype and started to show this to real players. That is much more interesting than just animated video. And also we focused on the metrics of our alpha version. So we acquired 10,000 players from a few markets. Team, next slide. Yeah. And we got pretty good metrics, not brilliant for this stage, but pretty good for very, very alpha test.
And we knew that we have potential risks with this kids universe because kids as a character in our previous vision can not work for adult people, for example. So it was very important to test our characters on a bigger audience. And like the best advice is to make sure that you are not making an assumption based on your friends and family feedback. It doesn't count. And you need to try to make data-driven decisions. And to do it, you will need a budget for user acquisition on each stage, on each milestone. And in our company, for example, we do bi-weekly updates, and each time we acquire thousands of gamers to measure all those important metrics again and again after each update to see how all our updates affects day one retention, day two retention, CPI, like average matches in the game per player, etc. And yeah, that was super important for us to get these first results, because this was like a real proof of concept that the game works, the core gameplay works, and that this is actually when we understood better our core audience as well.
And with the prototype and these metrics, we have raised our next bridge round from current investors, which saved us a lot of time on fundraising, with bigger evaluations than on previous rounds, but not so big as on next round.
Yeah, I would like to add here as well. We actually we on the previous round we were thinking that Wargaming, for example, can support us in the next round of investments, and this will be our late seed round with Wargaming. But a lot of things can change, like very instantly and dramatically. And with Wargaming, they actually changed completely their R&D department right before we made our final presentation. And in that case, they not invest in mobile games anymore. They not invest in gaming companies like ours. And we faced with this like big problem that everything is already. This was actually in the winter last year, and we figure out that everything will be like closed soon in the world, because the coronavirus is already here, and we don't have money, and we need to do something, because right now our like rocket ship with 20 people is moving very fast, and we burning a lot of cash like every day, and we just need to move even faster with fundraising than we did before. So
So let's talk about our latest round. At this stage, we reached commercial ready product stage, and we had a dream team of 20 plus people.
Yeah, and about this team, actually, as you probably know, it's super hard to hire top talented people, but in gaming industry, I think it's twice harder because the game market is tough, and there are plenty of successful gaming companies with tons of money who can who actually hire most of the talented people in our country. So how you can compete? And the first selling point always should be your vision. So to hire top talents, you need to sell yourself first and your company very, very hard. And also, like at least in our company, we treat all our employees as partners. And we don't forget to offer them stock options of our future unicorn that we building together, actually. And in many companies, at least as I know in Russia, people, they're pretty skeptical about option stock, but this is like super common case in Silicon Valley and just in American culture. And option stock doesn't mean that you should save on their salary. Option stock is like the second important option of their total compensation. So in that case, if you provide this option stock, this is a good way to show that you like partners in this company. And in that case, your relationship will be stronger, and the people will work harder actually to achieve this vision, because this will be their vision as well.
So what did we have at this stage? We already had a polished gameplay with unique mechanics. When you can't kill other players, you can only trap them into traps and help zombies to kill them. And we already confirmed that this mechanics works by numbers, by our metrics. Next slide. We had unique guns, a lot of non-lethal guns like bubble gun, like candy gun, and so on. And what is important, all these guns may be upgraded. We had a lot of upgrades, so it's a good point for monetization in future. Also, we had a lot of characters, crazy kids, with different skins and abilities, which may be upgraded as well. And we had dozens of zombies. And what is important about zombies, that we can instantly reflect media trends in our game by putting new zombies in the game very, very fastly. So if something happens in the world, like coronavirus or privacy scandal with Facebook or Oscar ceremony or something else, we can instantly reflect it by adding new zombie with Mr. Trump, with Joker, and so on. And this is a good point of future virality and marketing. I also had enough content for a few months of gameplay. Actually, we had a lot of objects, of content. Of course, not of this content is already implemented in the game, but we already prepared it for the future. And we had a core monetization loop with all important things like upgrades, like daily events, like chests, and so on, and soft and hard currency. And what is the most important thing? We had a global vision at this stage. The global vision is that we're not just working on a game, we are working on our universe, the kid universe. The universe with unique characters, unique mechanics, and so on. So all this IP may be implemented in different titles, different genres, and so on. And even it can be a TV show on Netflix or merchandise or something else. So it's not only about the one game. And this point is very important for investors because it shows that our team dreams big.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I was attending on White Nights in Amsterdam in January this year. It actually was the last conference, offline conference before pandemic, and we were very tough in timing to fundraise. I made about 30 meetings in 2 days, and all these meetings were only with investors. So I was very focused. I have no meetings with advertising platforms, with analytics tools, and so on. Only 30 VCs from different countries, publishers, VC funds, and so on. And here is how we got a short list of 3 investors and 1 lead investor from Sweden. But lately, this investor refused their commitment because of coronavirus, and they decided to wait a few months. But they made a hot intro to these 2 guys, to Thibaut and Galiam from Paris, who are the founders of Level Up. It's a huge fund with 20 years of history. And that's how we met actually our new investors. We never met them in person. We only saw them through Zoom calls. And from the first call, they decided to invest. Right on the first call, they told me that, okay, we love your vision, we love your game, we are going to invest.
Yeah,
and that's how we closed
took
our round.
another few months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that on the first call, they actually decided to invest. And the first call, it was about 3 a.m. in the morning in San Francisco, and Vitaly was on the call with them. And he was sending me messages in Telegram like, hey, dude, you need to join this call because it looks like they're really ready to invest. And I was super skeptical about this call because it was like very late call, and I didn't believe that someone can so quickly decided that they can move forward with us. But then I joined, and then we like really liked each other. And I think this is like a super important this like magic that happens between people. It's super important in fundraising because a lot of times you trying hard, you send in again and again some data, you're going through the very long due diligence process, and finally you don't get money. Or sometimes right from the first call, you can understand like, yeah, this is the right people. And I would love to give them like board, director's board seat, and we will work together as partners in the future. And another important thing that we would like to explain here is how we structure this deal and like what was the process. So they committed on the first call that they really interested then it was about 2 months of due diligence, and we sent a lot of we send everything that we had, like in case of our metrics. But at the same time, they wanted to structure this deal as Series A, not as Series C. And there are 2 types of documents in Silicon Valley. And if you do in Series C, you will pay to attorneys, to your lawyers, about 15K. And if you do in Series A, this will be like easily 50, 60, $80,000. And from the beginning, we told them like, hey guys, it's not a huge round of investments. We don't want to do seed because, or we don't want to do A series because it will be super expensive for us. But they were super, they super insist on this because first of all, because they're European fund and they was a little afraid about this typical seed documents that is very, I would say, very easy to do in the US and super common in the US, but not common for European investors. So that's why we move forward with Series A. And all the previous convertible notes and safes should be converted in this round because this round was in 1 million plus. So usually it counts as qualified rounds of financing. And if you previously had any convertible notes or safes, they should be converted. And what else? Yeah, like finally this deal took about 2 months and it cost us 40,000, which is like really good for Series A documents.
Also, this was a good chance to stabilize your cap table and convert all previous stakeholders. So, and what's next? For next point for us is Series A round, and we think we will raise this round with only global traction, because if we will start, if we will raise now, the valuation would be not so big. So we expecting to raise it later next year. But what is important, we already start negotiations with a lot of big funds from China, from United States, and so on, because as I mentioned before, that's very important to start to build relationships when you are not need money at the moment. This is the perfect position when you just negotiate, you just show your game, but not raise. That's how people will take you, get attention, and just think of you later, and it will be easier for us to raise money later.
Yeah, and by later we mean we wanted to successfully do a soft launch, which is coming soon, and the goal is to achieve at least 500K per month in revenue, because this will be the real proof that your business can be a rocket ship, and all the investors wanted to join you with those numbers. Yeah, and the next step will be worldwide domination.
Mm-hmm. So let me summarize key points for this deck. The first is to be unique and think unique. Don't try to copycat other games and even successful games, because investors believe in founders who think unique, and players love new games as well. Dream big and emphasize your advantages on each stage of your development. So when we had a first round, we emphasized that we had a celebrity and cool background. On the next stage, we emphasized that we had on very early team, very early version of gameplay, but we already had a prototype. And that works on every stage. Lately, we've shown our cool art and characters and so on. Next is Dream Big. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can I tell about this one? This is my favorite one. So basically, a lot of companies who started their business, they decided to start with something small. They always think like, okay, I don't have enough, like my networking is not so broad. I don't have enough money to start something like really big that I wanted to do sometimes in the future. I will start with something small. but it doesn't work like this all the time. And to give you an example, I can tell a little bit about my previous experience. I work in the company that's called Brex, and this is a huge fintech unicorn right now in Silicon Valley. And Dream Big was their like concept from the beginning. And the idea here is if you trying to solve the big problem of this world, or if you're trying since the beginning, you're trying to sell your future vision to all your partners, all the investors, it will be actually easy to find the right partners who wanted to join your journey than if you're doing something small. Those guys, they decided to change all the fintech industry for small businesses and startups in America. This was like the huge deal for everyone who was super tight with all this terrible American banking system in the past. In our case, our dream big was that we don't want to go to a publisher. Actually, we want to be a publisher. We don't want to build just a company who will do one title. We're not selling you this title. We're actually selling you our future vision of the like new type of the company who will have the entire kids universe, and that's our like dream big goal. And we wanted to. We think that this is a very important industry, and like people need games, they need high quality games. They don't want to just spend their lives with those like hyper casual trash games in the stores. That's why we actually choose mid-core segment for our game, because in mid-core you can provide really high quality games for bigger market than you can do in other types of games who are focusing only on pro players. But at the same time, it's not like hyper casual games. It's like really deep and interesting game. So dream big, and this will give you an easy access for fundraising, for good partners, and for perfect top talented people from the market.
And when you have a big dream, you can also sell this dream not only to investors, but to your employees as well. And we always recommend to hire only professionals and build a dream team. And strongly recommend to give stock to your key employees with vesting, of course. Be agile and cost effective. That means that on each stage, you can find ways how to save money. For example, when we had the first calls with our French investors, we had a free version of Zoom. So every 40 minutes, we have to call them again and again. And they told us that they love it because we already have enough money to pay for Zoom, but we still save this money. And also we saved hundreds of $1,000s on servers because we used grants from Amazon, from Google Cloud, and so on. We had the free version of Amplitude, and we saved $50,000 on this. And in all possible ways, we save money like this.
Yeah, maybe some good advice. If you have a company incorporated in the US and you want to use some perks for startups, there are like multiple things that you can do. The first one is if you was accepted to Y Combinator or any other big and like nice accelerator, you will have access to a lot of perks like free servers from AWS, from Google Cloud, from like free crates from Snapchat, from Facebook, and so on. There are like plenty of them. And even if you incorporate the company and you just open an account at Brex, for instance, this is not advertising, but you will have access to like hundreds of different perks, discounts for all the services that you will use on a daily basis. And you literally can save thousands of hundreds of dollars. No, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And when you are going to conferences, doesn't matter online or offline, I recommend to be very focused on your targets. Because when I'm going on conference, if I go to conference to fundraise, I am very focused on this need and only meet with people who can really invest, not with advertising platforms, not with analytics tools, not with service providers, because a lot of people trying to catch your attention and sell you something. So you should be very focused as a founder.
Yeah, but I would love to add here one story from our experience, actually. Again, like maybe 3 years ago, we were in a conference with Hello Baby, and we met with Sergey, who was a founder of Braavo Capital. So they were not investors in this conference. They were actually selling their platform, which is getbravo.com. And this is factoring service, and this is how our relationship started. And at this moment, we never know that Sergey is actually super successful serial entrepreneur who will support us in our gaming company 2 or 3 years later. So if you have a chance to build your network and to extend your network, do it all the time. And maybe just to summarize all the presentation from today, I'd love to add a few things. The first one is don't try to get everything at this at the same time. Don't try to raise like 1 million plus in the beginning if you're doing your first title. You can always split it, and as Vitaly mentioned, emphasis on your most advantages at this time. So do everything step by step. The second is the easiest way to raise the first capital, if it's like 100 or 200K, will be from like your friends and family, your small business angels, someone who wants to join the company in the beginning, and they wanted to invest, but they don't have enough money to join the companies on later stages. But at the same time, try to not to dilute too much. So in our case, for example, our first valuation was 2 million, which is not huge valuation. A lot of companies in the US, they started business with, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 million in valuation. But we, like for us, 2 million, at this time, we thought that this is a fair deal. And this is actually like a good deal if you start business in Russia. And the second stage, you need to use all your network. Like we try to use all our network, even with with investors who never invested in games. And we try to educate them and to explain why gaming industry is interesting, why gaming industry is booming now. What is the difference between traditional services and startups and games, like how they can predict the future revenue. We share all the financial models. We show them all numbers of like not our studio, but other examples from the market. And in that case, we could find like some business angels who decided to join us as well. And then you can focus on big publishers who can also invest, who not just doing publishing, because in that case, this is how you will start your future relationship. And in that case, you will have also like some nice strategic connection, and you will get a lot of insights from their teams, because they already successfully launch a lot of games like before they invested in your company. And and if you continue doing this step by step, then you will be at the stage when you have when you already finally have the product, and then you will be ready to raise with traditional VC fund who is focusing in gaming industry, of course. But my guess, don't try to go there from the beginning, because you will just waste your time and their time, because they don't invest. They don't do small checks usually.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. This was the last key point here as well.
So always extend network, and I recommend to use LinkedIn. In Russia and CIS, many people ignore LinkedIn, as I know. I don't like it too, but in United States and in Europe, it's a gold standard for communication.
Yeah, and for spam.
Mm-hmm.
And
all,
the last
actually.
slide, Daniel. That's it. Yeah.
This is the most important one. Yeah. Guys, I think that was like amazing presentation, great recommendations, and you know, I'm like obsessed about entrepreneurship and games and successful route to success, not just being successful for the sake of success, but how people become successful is an important learning for future entrepreneurs. We've got many questions, and let's start from the best ones. Let's talk about your failures, like where for the past couple of years you really fucked up, and what would you do differently? So like thinking of your mistakes as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I can take this one, Vitaly, if you don't mind. So there are a few things that I would love to focus on. Things number one is roadmap. And if you in the new industry, like we knew this from the beginning, we knew that the roadmap will fail. This is not how it's gonna be. But finally, like we actually wanted to launch the game originally a year ago. And now we're launching the game only early next year. So this is something that always super hard to predict, and you need to motivate your team enough. You need to have enough like money to move forward, even if you like fail your original roadmap. So I don't know too many companies who were always following the original roadmap. That was the biggest failure, I think, because because of this, we actually raised 4 rounds already, 2 million in total, instead of like raising 1 or 2 rounds, which would be like nicer in our situation. And the second failure, probably the original team. So because we didn't have enough expertise in gaming, and in the beginning sometimes you want to go, you need to have this compromise. Do you think like, okay, I will hire this person even if he's like not good enough, but it's okay because we need to move forward, we have our roadmap. But finally, this person is not good enough to build something that you want to build because you have a high standards of like final product, and this person like leave the company. You need to find another person. Another person will tell you that, okay, another developer usually will tell you like, okay, this is shitty code. I can't continue to working with shitty code. I need to change everything from scratch, and this will take another month or so. This will be hard. Yeah, those two things are super important, but not related to our company, but it's super common case when you split your shares not in the right way in the beginning between the founders or between the founders and investors, and you don't have vesting with founders, for example, from scratch, and then you have a person in your board member, or you have a person in your shares who don't do anything but has a lot of shares in the company. And in that case, it's super hard to fundraise again, because each investor will ask you like, what this person doing, because there's a lot of shares in the company.
That's awesome. So since you touched on employees and shares and stock options between founders and investors, there are a few questions about that. So what would be the most efficient way to split stocks between founders, in your opinion, and investors as well? And what stock options would you give your first employees to keep them motivated? Would you use Cliff, and what vesting is wasting years are efficient in your opinion?
Yeah, so we're using 3 years vesting for our employees. Typically in the US, like all the companies that I know, they use 4 years vesting. So 4 years is like a global standard, but we decided to go with 3 years just because, as I mentioned before, because employees in Russia, they're too skeptical about this from the beginning. And we spend a lot of time trying to educate them, like what is actually stock options? What does it mean? How you can exercise your stocks in the future? You still can never get those money. It's like, it is an option. It's not your stocks, because it was plenty of questions like, okay, where I should go to see my, like how much I have today? What is the website? Are you on the market already? Not yet. And so on. So need to spend some time to educate them. But typically you use 1 year cliff. And after this 1 year cliff, you will have another 3 or 2 years to, how it's called, to give other shares to the employees. And if they reach cliff and decided to leave the company, of course, you should give them everything that they earned so fast. And I highly recommend to use Starta. It's starta.com as a service for if you have a lot of investors, and if you have some employees with stocks, it's super hard to manage, and it will be super expensive to manage with your lawyer. So just use Starta. You will still need a lawyer, but everything will be automated on their service. All your employees will be able to get access to see their stocks. And if your company hopefully will become successful, they will see how the stocks growing up because based on your new valuation on each round of investments. Hopefully I answered the questions.
And did you pay salaries while you gave stock options before you raised capital?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we, in my opinion, and I like strongly believe in this, if you don't want to pay salary to someone, you should become co-founders, and this should supposed to be like your decision from the beginning. Like, hey, we're doing this business from scratch. We're here from the beginning. We don't have money to pay salaries right now, but it's okay because we will split our shares. And this is the only way that works for founders. But if you hire someone to join your team, you need to pay them salary, and you need to give them option stock if this is available, like valuable team member. Actually, in the most companies in the US and most startups in the US, they give stock options to all the employees, like not to the most important employees, but to all the employees. And of course, option stock can be different based on because compensation is different. But this is just an important part of the total compensation.
Right, and coming back to the first part of the question in terms of stock options for founders, how do you split equity between the founders in the beginning? I mean, you don't have to say how you did it in your company, but how you think is sufficient, and what equity would you give to your first investors, angel investors? Those are basic questions, but people interested in.
Yeah, I think it's very important questions because this is usually if you're doing your first business, this is when you can fail, and it's not obvious that it be a future failure in the beginning. I can give you an example based on our company. Because we, like myself and Vitaly, we're doing this new business and investor relationship part of work. And Gardey is the CEO of the company, and he's doing all the creative vision. And actually, he was the first one who came up with the idea of doing this company. we split it in our company. We split it like me and Vitaly. We have a similar amount of shares that Gardy has. So basically 3 founders, but he has a majority of shares as a CEO, as a like main founder, and we both like have the same, but together. But the best way, if you start a business from like all together, I think the best way is just to split it equally, because this is only in that case, no one will tell you in like when you became successful or when it's gonna be like difficult times for your company. If you have equal shares, it's okay. If it's not equal, you will always have problems. Like if you will need to invest by yourself, it will be hard. If you will be successful, it will be hard. So like the best thing that you can do is to split equally. And for the first investors, there are 2 ways, as I mentioned during the presentation. The first one is if you already know your like valuation that you want to have at this stage. Like in the beginning, as I mentioned, our first valuation was 2 million. And we didn't want to sell more than 10% in the beginning. This was like important for us. So that's why we raised 150. And for the first investors, like less than 10%, it's okay. Because I like your perfect cap table actually is when you on at the Series A stage, and the founders, they still have 70 or 80% of the company. Because then you need to raise more capital with higher valuation, but you will still dilute it like 15% on each stage, something like this. So make sure that you didn't give 50% of the company in the beginning to someone who will never do anything for this company, instead of just give the first round of investments.
How did you do your evaluation when at early stage? You said you had $2 million evaluation. It's always a challenge for first-time founders to actually evaluate their company, and they're trying to find resources, ask people. How did you do it? So you managed to convince other investors.
Yeah, it's a good question. So basically, there are a few things, like 2 ways that you can do. The first one is if it's early stage, pre-revenue company, you don't have a product yet, but you have like MVP or just an idea and a future vision. You want to fundraise. You just look at the market, and you can see how much the companies like yours costs in the beginning. And like if you see like the valuation in YC, valuation in 500 startups and other accelerator like this, your valuation will be 3 million. And they usually accept like best companies from the world with at this very early stage. And after YC, your valuation will be like 10 million, for example. But this is the best accelerator in the world. So that's why we decided that 2 million is okay. 1 million is not enough. 3 million is good if you get accepted to like one of the best accelerator in the world. We were not there definitely in the beginning. That's why like 2 million was the compromise. But actually, the second thing that you can do is you can use discount in your convertible note, and this is actually even better. I can explain if it makes sense a little in few words. So convertible note is a simple document that you can sign with your investor instead of giving them equity in the beginning. And this means basically that they give you a loan and they will get shares in the future for this loan if it will be the next qualified round of investments, and they will convert automatically. And in that case, they can have a discount from the next round of investment. which means that you don't know your current valuation, but you hope you wanted to have 10 million valuation in this like Series A, for instance, and you sign the convertible note with 20% discount, which means that your current investor will convert automatically on the next round, qualified round of investments, and their valuation will be 8 million, and that's it. So basically, in that case, you don't need to spend the time to negotiate the valuation and shares right now. You will do it in the future when you actually prove that your company is growing, when you actually will prove that you can raise another rounds of investments.
That's a great example. So you compare yourself with other companies at your stage and who already shared public information. You have your own predictions, and you can put this in a convertible note, so you can actually negotiate with investors your vision and their vision, and part of negotiation is actually the first vision of your evaluation. Yeah. So we do have lots of questions, and the other one we have: any recommendations how to find angel investors in game development?
Yeah, Vitaly, would you like to take this one?
No.
No.
Yeah, I can start. You can follow up. There are a few things. The first one, as I mentioned, your network. If you don't have a network, if you just first-time founder and you never fundraised before, try to attend in conferences, and as Vitaly mentioned, try to do as many meetings as possible. And if you have, if you can highlight more like your advantages, this will be successful for you, because even if they don't fundraise right now, you still have this connection, and this will be your first step to grow your network. The next one is try, like, if you're first time founder, if you don't have any access to funding and no like history of building something, so like you literally don't have anyone who can invest at least small check for your company, this will be tough. But if you have, if you can like convince someone to join the team, if you can explain them your vision in the best way, and you can show this growing path, that's how, that's when everything started. But at the same time, always use traditional methodology. Just you can always find all the contacts on the websites, on Crunchbase, on LinkedIn, and I can tell short story. When we try to fundraise for our company Hello Baby, when we first time moved to Silicon Valley like 5 years ago, almost. We were just waiting when someone will make an intro for us, because we were in acceleration program in BootUp, and they always were telling us like, hey guys, you're not ready yet. You need to focus on your presentation. You need to focus on those skills and those skills, on those skills. Like, no one will ever listen to you. We will give you some hot intros someday. And we were waiting with Vitaly like 3 or 6 months, I don't remember. And no one gave us any intro. And we understood like, okay, that's a bullshit, and we just need to try by ourselves. And Vitaly create the pipeline of thousands of emails. And we just started like cold emails campaign. We use few services. Do you remember how it's called?
It was reply.io for sending emails, for emails chains, and it was Scrap or Apollo.ai for find emails, personal emails. Yeah, so we use a simple scheme. We found websites of all top VC funds, and all these websites we found people who are investing and responsible for investing in our segment in mobile applications. And we found personal emails of those people on LinkedIn through this plugin for Chrome browser. And when we started to actually spam, but we didn't spam, but it should look like real email, but we started to spam these people. Most of them really believed that it was real email, and we already knew each other because we had their personal email, and we started our email like we already know each other, like, hey John, we have an update of Hello Baby, please check it out, and so on. And that's how we had about 30 meetings and about 30 calls just with these cold emails, without any intros, with top funds of Silicon Valley. So everything is possible.
That's
Yeah,
an
but
excellent
the good, like just focus on the right funds, because especially in gaming, not like I would say maybe a few percentage of funds invest in games, and you need to make sure that there are a few things. Like you need to make sure that this is the right fund, you're at the right stage. If you're not at the right stage, it can be a perfect match for you in the future, but right now it's just you're not there, and they invested like dozens of millions, but you're asking for 100K. It doesn't work like this. And don't spam all the partners, because in that case they will be very angry if you like send the same message to all the partners in one company.
Yeah, but looking at all our experience and these companies in other companies, I would say that it's important to try make everything without money and to get revenues as soon as you can. If you can do it without investments, try to do it without investments. In Kids vs Zombies, our project is very ambitious, and that's why we had to raise a lot of money from the first day, because we had a very ambitious idea. It needs a lot of people, professional people. That's why we raise so much, and this is very unusual for game industry, but we did this just before our idea is big.
Excellent. And how would you define those right funds? What would be the criteria to selecting the right funds among all?
So most of the funds today, they have great websites. That's an obvious answer, but they usually explain what they're focusing on and what's the perfect stage for you to send them, to shoot them a message. So just read everything before you send a message. And second is try, like usually on each website, they have a form to send the form through the website. Don't do this, because this never works. Just try to find the right partner, try to connect with this partner somewhere, maybe on the conference, maybe on LinkedIn. If they connected back with you, try to send them a message about this. But of course, remember that they receive like thousands of messages probably every week. So if they never reply, it can be not just because your project is not good enough. It can be just because they didn't see this, or it can be because your project is not good enough, but they will never reply back. And it's actually in the US, it's okay to send a follow-up. And I figure out that sometimes if you send, don't send more than 3 follow-ups, but if you send follow-up in a few days, and it's not like robotic made email, it's you send it like from your personal email, for example, they can reply, and they will be, this can be like a good conversation starter. Maybe they just miss your email.
Yeah, follow-ups are super important. I completely agree with you, because sometimes people don't see, sometimes people convert on like a second and third email just for other reasons. And also you mentioned the important note about some kind of newsletter or investor updates for those investors you may even not met, or maybe you met before, and updating them is what I noticed from successful founders is a frequent case. So they keep this connection with investors, not like spamming them, but like maybe doing a once a month update or something. So you just keep their mind fresh about you and about your route to success. We have Ilya Kuzyuk willing to ask you a question. So I'm going to give him a word. Ilya, please turn on your microphone and ask your question.
Hey guys, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for your presentation. Very useful, and this latest piece of advice on how to engage with the investors, fake updating them, is really a very useful thing. And actually, guys, I used your one pager as an example for my one pager, so I already knew your hello baby one pager. So guys, yeah, I have a question. So you guys switched from a mobile app to, again, it's a mobile app, but this is a game. And as I understand, the game investors in gaming, they're just different, kind of universe, and this is different people. They value different metrics compared to investors to software, to technology. And this is something that I actually faced recently. So I have a company that we produce computer-generated animation, and we use game engines to produce this animation. And we have several of titles that we want to produce with this technology. But some of the investors treat us as a technology company, so they ask us about how we manage to reduce costs, how we manage to produce everything. But other investors value more like kind of creative concepts that we have. And as I understand, I just wanted to ask you what advice can you give? What investors are best for my company? Maybe it's gaming investors. But anyway, I just wanted to know your perception, your feeling about these different kind of investors. This ones that more focused on technology, and the other that more focused on the creative things, creative concepts. And yeah. Thank you.
It looks like you have a great advantage because you can cover both. You can cover classic VC funds who are focused on tech, and you can cover investors who are investing in products like ours, publishers, game studios, and so on. It may be interesting for everyone, so you never know. So try to cover all of them.
Yeah, but if you're asking about what's the main difference, I can share my thoughts. If you like when you speak with traditional VC who is focusing on B2B or B2C services mostly, that's usually some of them actually focusing on B2B, and they understood that B2B, and this is completely different world because you need to prove that you can build nice sales team, or you can sell automatically through your website. Like those VCs, they really focusing on B2B world, and it's hard to understand any B2C businesses for them. For B2C, they actually believe in that your company can go viral someday, that you know how to acquire millions of customers in the future. And those VCs are actually close to VC who is investing in gaming, because the monetization strategy can be similar. Like you acquire millions of customers, you can get a lot of featuring, you can get a lot of publicity, you will grow rapidly, and when you have a lot of millions of customers, you can in traditional B2C, you can figure out how to monetize them, and you will just need a lot of fuel for your rocket ship to continue to grow. And if you doing a gaming business, you measure everything step by step, but basically if your numbers are good enough on the soft launch, you unleash the full potential, trying to unleash the full potential of this and acquire again millions of customers. And I would say that those investors who invest in B2C and gaming, they have very similar mindset, and it's for us it's way easier to communicate with them than with investors who focus on B2B. And as you mentioned, if you have a technology that you can sell, this looks like a B2B business. But at the same time, if you will do your own like your own studio and you will try to use it for your own titles, this will be a completely different story. So basically, you will focus. There is no focus. Yeah, you will have two different stories. One is B2B sales, and another one is B2C businesses and a creative shop. I don't know which one is better. I think it's completely up to you, but this is definitely two different worlds, because if you don't know how to sell to corporates, this will be hard to continue. If you like really enjoy the process of doing things, if you really enjoy the process of like creating something, my suggestion will be the focus on the second part, because first of all, it's way more fun, but at the same time, it's more risky because you can get nothing in the end.
Yeah, I think the difference is in tolerance to risk. Classic VC funds are very tolerant to risk, so they're expecting that most of their companies will fail, and that's absolutely okay for them in this business model. But game investors who invest in game publishers and so on, they are very careful, and on each step they are trying to confirm everything. They don't want to hear that you will check this hypothesis later. They want metrics on each stage, and they should be very confident in success. Daniel, you are muted.
Thank you. Actually, I mean, great comments, and I just wanted to say some. Artur Smirnov is saying that hello, baby, are the best. I just want to share some information from the live streaming. Yeah, very valuable advice, guys. We have tons of questions. Now let's spend another about 10 minutes, maybe maximum 15, and
yeah. Let's keep answers shorter. Good.
Yeah. So another question we have, does it mean that playable gameplay is not required for seed round? Maybe some recommendations how to pitch the game. Many developers fail to find investments even with most complete game on hands.
Yeah, honestly, there are actually, if you have a complete game on hands, it's harder to raise, because if you have a game on hands, you need to have numbers. If you have numbers that are not good enough, that's it. Like, that's it. No one will give you money because you already proved that the game is not successful. If you don't have a game yet, but you have very promising art or very promising concept, and you just tested something, like you tested core gameplay, for example, or you tested like art things, and you know that this can be like potential hit, in that case, people can invest in you because they actually wanted to join you because they just believe in you and your vision. And that's easier than when you have a game with just bad numbers.
So you just gotta infect your investors with your vision and idea, and art can help you inspire them rather than talk on numbers when you are so early in the market.
Yeah, maybe just one quick suggestion. Sorry, Daniel.
Go ahead.
Split metrics. When we started this company, and we didn't know like how people will react to the graphics, to the concept. We didn't have the game yet. We use split metrics to see how the banners that we prepared will be performed at this time. And we just created on ReadyMac, we created landing page in one day. We created a bunch of banners. We go to split metrics, download all the banners. And in that case, if someone don't know this, so the concept of split metrics, that you have a fake, like not a fake, like fake App Store page. It's not a real App Store page because you don't have an app yet, but they exchange App Store page with a look-like App Store page. In that case, you can measure how much you will spend for like what will be a CPI, what will be conversion rate in this fake App Store page, and this will give you some information at least for like how people react to the game. You will see that are they actually interested in the game or not? What is the conversion rate? Are the graphics good enough or not?
And how much money did you allocate for this kind of activity?
Not so much, hundreds of bucks.
Less than thousands, okay.
Yeah, also
no, not hundreds, thousands, just hundreds.
Hundreds, yeah. Also, we used split metrics to test our hypothesis about Danny Trejo. That's why we proceed without him right now, because we didn't see a huge boost when we used a celebrity in our creatives. It's very expensive to have a celebrity on board, so that's why we paid a lot of attention to check this.
Great advice. And in terms of customer development, since you touch on customer acquisition cost, what effective ways to test your solution did you do to make sure that you are creating the product that will be successful, so that your future users will be like virally spread the information about this, they will be enjoying it, they will be playing it. So online and offline, if you had any activities like that.
Yep. So what we like about game development is like first of all, you should build your own analytics department, ideally, and you need to measure everything, like each step, each update, you need to measure, and most of your solution will be data driven. And if you're doing like some of the updates in your game, you will see impact on the real numbers. But to do this, you need to have the budget for user acquisition, like monthly budget, because you can test it on your like friends or on just hundreds of users. You need to have at least thousands of users. And for example, our budget is about $5,000 every month during the beta testing program. Right now, by the way, we didn't tell this. Right now we're in beta, but we'll be out of beta in a few months. And we're in beta since May. And since May, every 2 weeks, we making updates. We're uploading new build to Google Play. And we see how this impacts then like important metrics that our own internal KPIs, I would say. And for example, we don't look in, we try to look only at numbers that matter at this stage. For example, for us, I saw it was a question of day 7 and day 30 retention, but today we don't have meta for day 7 retention yet. So the game is not there yet, and our focus was to focus on day 1 and day 2 retention only. And that's how we actually increased our retention from 25 to 35% in few months with interactive tutorial and some of the updates. So just focus on the right data and make sure that you have a budget to acquire thousands of like customers who will never pay. So you just burn in this budget, but actually this provides you the best insights about your product.
Yeah, there are plenty of questions about metrics that you used. You already had a slide about that. Probably we need to touch on this again. One of the questions what was the most important metrics for your investors that invested in you, and majority of investors who were interested? So what metrics they were looking into, and also. There is a question from Daria. Please kindly advise what metrics on the seed round you had. Could you mention other metrics which are important? So I mean, I guess it's all from standpoint of investors because people want to get investments, and also from standpoint of customers to make sure that the customers are engaged enough.
Vitaly, would you like to do so?
Try to confirm that that people love setting about kids and zombies, and that was I think the biggest concern at this stage, on pre-alpha stage 1 year ago. So we put emphasis on not on retention but also on count of sessions per player. And in our case, some power players had more than 50 matches per once, and that was a huge amount. And that means that we definitely will find our audience who will fall in love with our universe and will play again and again. And also we had about 25% day one retention, but we also had 35 rolling retention, which is on this stage, this metric is okay. So now we don't count rolling retention, we only measure day one retention. But when you're in pre-launch stage, you can count rolling as well. And today we have about 35 day one, clear day one, and that is very good for our general.
Okay. Some more tactical questions, and you already answered this question. So did you, when you did fundraising, did you use convertible note or safe? I think you mentioned convertible note, right?
No, actually for this company, we mostly use safes because the convertible note is better for investor. Safe is better for founders because convertible note is a loan basically, and I know a couple of examples when the investor can tell you in the future that they want to get the loan back. Yeah, so if you want to avoid this situation, safe is a little bit better because like based on investors, like I would say most of the investors in the world, they understand that the convertible note is just an instrument to save some money and save some time on a deal. But basically this instrument means that you get the loan from this investor and you need to bring it back. And if they don't want to convert someday and they wanted to get money back, they can do this with convertible note.
Yeah, and it's a little bit cheaper to convert from safe. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. And convertible note will require some help from lawyers to help you convert it. So it will require additional costs on conversion. And signing a safe is faster than convertible note. So just those little bit.
It's just bigger document, yeah, and there can be different, like based on our experience, we had 6 different types of convertible notes, and which means that each investor has his own term sheet, and when the lawyer tried to figure out, okay, what is the terms for this note or for this note, finally it was very comprehensive scheme.
There is another question about your fundraising. What was your traction during seed round and what helped you to get funded?
On the seed round, it was our second fundraising. We had simple prototype and cool art, as I mentioned in the deck. So we have shown that we are experienced founders who launched campaigns companies before, who failed in some cases, who win in some cases, who raised money before, and who definitely can produce world-class art for this game. But the only concern was about development, because no one of us had developed a big project before. And that's why we had the valuation like 2 million, 2 or 3 million on this stage, not 10.
How much percentage do you spend on development from fundraising money? So tactical question again.
How much time?
How much money do you spend? How much, no, in terms of like in percentage of your budget, like do you allocate for development out of the money you fundraised?
All the money, mostly today, we spend for development. Yeah, guys, can you give me 1 minute? I need to, yeah, Vitaly, can you take the next question and I will come back soon.
Okay,
yeah, I think,
we are about to finalize as well. All right, there is a question from Vladimir. Is it okay to sign NDA with investors to make sure that they don't share USPS, and I'm not sure what is a USPS, of the product with other companies they invest? So basically, about NDA with investors. Did you sign NDAs with investors? Do you think this is something you should do or shouldn't do?
Yeah, we never asked investors to sign an NDA. We pitched our game for anyone who are interested. But when investors ask us to sign, we signed it. So we never creating this barrier from our side. If someone wants to sign, we will sign.
So what would be your recommendation for founders who are afraid that their ideas would be copied, stolen, or something when they talk to investors?
I want to forget this fear and never remember it, because it's you just spending your time when you are creating these barriers between you and investor. That doesn't work. So nobody will steal your idea. Nobody cares about your idea without an execution. Only execution matters. So just don't think about it. Don't lose your energy on this.
Excellent. That's actually a great advice, because it's another roadblock. It's not easy to find investors to fundraise in any space, especially gaming industry. And you basically need to create an opportunity to avoid additional roadblocks for you. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah. Idea costs $0.
Idea costs zero. Execution, right? Execution is the most important. We have a few questions before we finish. Hopefully, Tim will come back. What are the key platforms to scale do you use? Where actually did you?
I mean, user acquisition.
In terms of actually, I mean, user acquisition as well. But I mean, like, do you use Apple, Google, Stream, or something? Steam?
So we are using Android right now for weekly updates, because in Android you have, they called it TMR. It's a way to launch your game without affecting your future final release. So we already launched this game. It's available in the store. You can find it and play right now, but it's a TMR version. And even if all reviews will be very bad for this version, we can launch a final version of the game, and this TMR version will not affect the final version. So that's why we use Android, and actually it's much faster to produce weekly updates on Android. On Apple, you have to wait for review, even in test flight, it takes a lot of time. But of course, we will launch on both platforms, Android and iOS. So yeah, we are focused on iOS in terms of money, but we are using Android just to save time now, because there is no difference in how people will play. There is huge difference in terms of how people will spend money, of course, between platforms, but in terms of gameplay, it doesn't matter when you are testing. And what about user acquisition? We are using Facebook mostly. We actually got into their program, and that is one more tip for you. Always try to find any partnerships as you can, as much as you can, because we just tried to get into Facebook Activation Club. They called it Activation Club, where they provide about 250K monthly budget upfront. So it's like a credit line. You can just use it and pay later. We just asked them how can we get into the program. They just checked out our presentation and just take us in their club. That is how it works. That's not the only reason to use Facebook. We're using Facebook just because in Facebook you can get immediate result. You can immediately spend $200 and take result. For example, on Google UAC, you have to spend like $30,000 just to train the neuron engine. And only after that, your acquisition will be good with good CPI, good retention, and so on. On Facebook, you get good numbers from the first day. That's why we are focused on Facebook mostly. It's more flexible.
Thanks. Tim, do you have any comments on platforms for user acquisition and anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just agree with Vitaly. And but just one thing that I would love to add is if you're working on a game and you will be in the same sandbox with all other gaming companies, and just good to know that it will be very hard to compete with them for the lower CPI, with a lower CPI, because they have there are a bunch of games whose LTV will be much higher than yours LTV, especially in the beginning. And in that case, they will they can buy customers way more expensive than you, and it will be hard to compete with them. So, for example, in our segment in midcore, like good CPI or good LTV is about $3. But in I forget the game title. It's a Japanese game. Their LTV is about $200.
Oh my God!
And yeah, that means that they basically can spend like 150 to acquire one user, and you can spend like 50 cents, and you compete with them, and you like try always to find other acquisition channels as well. Try to make sure that your game has viral potential.
Yeah, and you're right. But at the same time, those users who can pay that much, it's also a limited group of people. There are users who won't be able to pay as much, and still you will find your users with your CPI, right? So just not everyone will go to those guys who are paying 150.
It's a hardcore game, but basically $200 is their ARPU, is not ARPU. So which means that each user provides like $200 in average in this game.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up. We had a amazing presentation and conversation. Let's take the last questions. Then I'll give you a final words to say so we can finalize this session. So our final question would be from live streaming. In terms of monetization strategies, what what monetization strategy do you use in your company, and what monetization strategies tactics do you think that are efficient for modern publishers in game development?
Like honestly, we don't have much experience in this yet, so I'm not the best person to provide this advice. What we're trying to do is we will have a free-to-play game with a deep meta. Our focus is to make sure that we have like really high long-term retention, not a short-term retention. And we will try to implement this like smart system for the special offers. So basically all like the main store in the game will analyze the user's behavior in the game and provide different options, like different offers for different groups and different types of users. And if the system will realize that this user will never pay, but still it plays sometimes in the game, we will use advertising model as well. But this will be not the main model, of course.
We have a classic monetization loop. We have a loop with daily events, with hard and soft currency, with chests, with the special offers. And the special offers are based on our prediction, will this person pay or not? And if not, we will make a focus on advertising for this user. So it's a very classic approach. So of course, we recommend to be unique, but in terms like monetization, it's better to be not so unique. Just use strategies that other successful games do.
Excellent. So we had an excellent webinar with you guys. I think that would be considered as a successful business case that we went into very deep details, and thanks for sharing all of it because I mean it's really important for every founder who are trying to raise capital in your space to understand how to avoid mistakes and shoot to the target. I wish you only success. I know you for quite a while, and you guys are amazing people, amazing founders. You already started a couple of companies, successful companies, and the only what we want to see and reserve our spot once you become a unicorn. Please find some time for us to give us an interview because I believe you guys become successful soon. Like, I mean, you raise another round and you go viral, and I just wish you become a unicorn as soon as possible because you deserve it. You work hard and you create amazing games.
Thanks, Daniel.
Let's give you just final words to say to the audience, and we are done. So your final words to the audience.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, final words to the audience will be, yeah. So dream big and try to build what you're dreaming about. And if you are not trying to limit it yourself, everything will happen.
And be unique.
And be unique. That was Vitaly Urban and Team Writer, the founders of Zombie Donuts and other successful startups. Thanks, guys, for coming, and we will see you again soon. Goodbye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye, Daniel.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.